Good evening, everybody. How's everybody going? It's been an interesting few weeks. It's been an interesting few months with this channel. People are I'm going to just blabber for a couple minutes here because I haven't gotten my notification yet. And I usually like for people to hop on when they get their notification. So I'll just blabber for a few minutes and just remind everybody that, just about every Friday night at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. my time here in Florida, I like to do basically a weekly live stream, kind of a stream of consciousness conversation in which this is an opportunity for you to talk with me in the chat. And I often respond to the live chat. Now you can replay this, and it gives you the option to replay with the chat. So just turn that on. I think on most of your devices it should work. I'm not sure if it does on the Roku. Leroy Thomas from Jolly Old England. That's what we want to say. Leroy asks, "How is your mom doing?" Well, she still can't drive the car. She still can't open her water bottle. So I have to go and open up all her little water bottles and put them in the refrigerator so she can drink her water bottle. She can't open containers. She's going to try to drive around our park, see if she can start driving. So Leroy, all the way from England, keep in mind, folks, it is 1 a.m. or midnight. I think it's 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. I forget now. What time is it, Leroy? Is it midnight or 1 o'clock? But Leroy stays up and watches me on every live stream in England. Think about that. That's pretty dedicated. It's 1 a.m. Leroy says it's 1 a.m. in England, and he's one of our more loyal Friday night viewers. And so how's the weather in jolly old England there, Leroy? It's getting nice here in Florida. Like I had mentioned before, Hurricane Milton, one of the things it did do is it actually kind of broke the summer cycle in which basically cold fronts are not able to make their way down to the peninsula of Florida. So basically you're in a tropical climate, typically from mid-May till usually end of October, beginning of November. Well, the one thing Milton did was it actually came through and brought down cool weather and started the cooling pattern. So we have nice cool nights. We don't really have to run the air conditioner 24/7 like you do all summer. So that's one of the blessings about going through this hurricane, having these hurricanes, especially the direction it came, is it did bring down some cool weather. I've been in after hurricanes in which I've been without power for 3 days or water, because I used to be in a rural place in northern Florida, and electricity is needed to run the pumps. So I'd have no power, no water for 3 days. It's 95 degrees. And the humidity and the dew points are in the 80s. Now, I'd like to tell you, folks, it's not the humidity, it's not the temperature, it's the dew point. When the dew points are in the 80s, it's oppressive. That's tropical weather. Really, it only gets comfortable. Dew points are really only comfortable when they're in the 60s. 50s and 60s is perfect. But most of the time during the summer, it's in the upper 70s, lower 80s. And that's truly, truly like the worst kind of experience to go through. I've been through 2 hurricanes in which I've been in those conditions, and it's terrible. People are starting to enter in the chat room. I'll be talking to you in a second. Also want to remind you to put the thumbs up notification so that this gets in front of more people. IDK, or I don't know, 4003. Oh, you've been here before. Steve, I'm always on the verge of forgetting when you go live. Yeah, well, that's why I want to kind of consistently do this on the same day and time, and nobody else is doing live streams at this time. So I figured, because I don't really want to go bump up against anybody. I want to be respectful of my other podcasters. It's really important that podcasters look out for each other and be considerate of each other and try to be professional and ethical in their dealings with each other. Whether you agree or disagree with them, whether they're TBM, faithful, or they're X, we should all play by certain rules of conduct. That we should remain professional. And I do think there are times, of course, when I've been a victim of somebody who chose not to act that way, and they're hearing it from their own community, and hopefully corrective actions will be taken in the community itself. And I'm going to address it a little bit, but I want to talk a couple more people in the chat and let more people pop on, because I still haven't gotten my notification that I'm live on my phone. See, that's what I hate about these notifications. They should come out right when it's live so people know. Oh yeah, so the bell does nothing. Incidentally, neither does my alarm clock in the morning. Haha, yeah, that's true. So, okay, so well, people are starting to hop on here. Okay, good. And then I wanted to just talk about a few interviews that I've done or will be doing, and then I also want to talk about just the last week's live stream I did in which I was attacked by another podcaster. But I also want to talk about the people within the ex-Mormon community that had my back and defended me on their platforms, and I want to acknowledge them. But before we do that, I just want to say oh my goodness, Sharon Wood says it's 1:04 p.m. here in New Zealand. So in the Commonwealth, I hear now the sun never sets on the British Empire. Until recently, it never did. But it's 1:04 p.m. in New Zealand and 1:04 a.m. in England. So I wanted to let everybody know that I did talk with a very interesting guest today. His name is Kevin Kraut. And I'm holding up this book, and I'll explain in a second here. His name's Kevin Kraut, and he is the son of Ogden Kraut. And Ogden Kraut was one of the most important leading, I would say, you could say, theologians, philosophers, thinkers of Mormon fundamentalism. Wrote many, many books. He himself was an independent fundamentalist, so he never joined up with another church. And actually, a majority of people who are polygamous typically are independent. But Ogden Kraut's works are universally cited by all people, by all the different fundamentalists. He is really an important resource, and he wrote a ton of books, a ton of resources, and so he's the go-to person, one of the top thinkers of Mormon fundamentalism. A couple of years ago, I had on Ann Wild, who was one of his plural wives, and today I got to interview Kevin Kraut, the son of Ogden Kraut, to talk about Bishop Coyle's Dream Mine. And I want to just, this is a book show, I always like to tie books in whenever I can. But as far as I can recollect, the very first book that I ever encountered the story of the Dream Mine or the Relief Mine was in this book called Rocky Mountain Empire, The Latter-day Saints Today by Samuel W. Taylor. And that comes from the Hammond Public Library. I used to live in Hammond, Indiana. I actually worked for the city for a while. And in chapter 14, there's a chapter called Bishop Coyle, the Angel, and the Dream Mine. And I have to tell you, first of all, this is a great book. Samuel Taylor is a really good author, and he was a really interesting guy. I think there's even a chapter about him in one of these Mormon series books. I think maybe Mormon Mavericks. There might be a chapter about him in there. The Prep Project asks, just logging on, what is the Dream Mine? It's a fascinating story. So basically, there's this gentleman. Oh, what's his first name? I just always call him Bishop Coyle, but he has got a first name, and I'm sorry, it slips my mind. I'm kind of fried at the end by Friday nights. I'm fried on Friday nights. So why am I doing it live? I don't know. So the Dream Mine is this gentleman who goes by, but people call him Bishop Coyle, had a vision. Two of the three Nephites appeared to him and showed him a mountain in which Nephite gold and treasures and plates and records of their civilization were buried. Also, that it's also, this mountain is full of gold and silver and copper ore as well. And basically that this mountain would be mined during the Great Tribulation. And so this would be a place of refuge that could basically keep the saints afloat. While the rest of the world is suffering, they will be suffering less because they'll be a self-sufficient community. And actually, the Dream Mine still exists to this day, and it's in southern Utah. It's in Utah County, and I can't tell you the name of it. It's not Payson. I think it's a little south of that. And again, fried out on Fridays. I could probably look it up, but basically, the Dream Mine still exists. It is really, I know a lot of people who've contacted me who told me that their parents were shareholders in it, or they have certificates of stock in it. I also heard from faithful Latter-day Saints. A lot of fundamentalists have stocks in it. I actually want to buy a share myself, and so basically, people invest in this mine. And basically, this mine will be an important resource to save the church and save Latter-day Saints. There's many, many people that believe this to him to be a true prophet. He did give some prophecies that his believers say came true. What's interesting about Kevin Kraut, the person I interviewed about it, his father, Ogden Kraut, was a German Lutheran who converted to the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints when he was 17 years old. And by the time he's 19 years old, he is Bishop Coyle's right-hand man. And it's a fascinating story. So Kevin Kraut tells about his father's, Ogden Kraut's, interactions with Bishop Coyle. Kevin, it's a really fascinating story. So we'll probably be releasing that episode sometime next week. Okay, yep. So China Clay says, I can see it up on the mountain from Spanish Fork. Yes, I know it's not far from there. And so, unfortunately, Kevin Kraut printed Chris Nemelko's book. Fortunately, okay. Let me hear this. I want to. Okay, so China Clay says it's in the Salem Payson area. Okay, and IDK4003 says, unfortunately, Kevin Kraut printed Chris Nemelka's book. Did not know that. Fortunately, almost nobody knows who Nemelka is, so no minimal damage. China Clay says, I can see it up on the mountain. Okay, from Spanish. Okay, so I didn't know that Nemelka, yeah, and Andrew SD says, Nemelka claimed to be the reincarnation of Hiram Smith or something like that. Yeah, Christopher Nemelka is an interesting cat. I've never personally interacted with him. I know people that know him. I know people that have interacted with him. Christopher Nemelka is, I think he's kind of on the lam. I'm not sure, but he's kind of dropped off the face of the earth. I actually know somebody who keeps very close track of him and has been documenting a lot of things that Christopher has been saying and doing throughout the years. And so I'm very aware of Christopher and who he is. And yeah, I'll have to ask Kevin about that. I'm interested. I didn't know that he printed Christopher Nemelka's book. If I had known that, I would ask them. So, but I'm actually going to have Kevin Kraut come back on because he's got lots of stories about the three Nephites. He actually has a very fascinating stories about Ezra Taft Benson, also about Hugh Nibley. I mean, this guy knew everybody. Ogden Kraut was highly influential in many circles. Even after he was excommunicated from the church, a lot of people still, even in the main church, still respected the mind of Ogden. He was brilliant. He had a photographic memory. And Kevin shared some of those stories with me today, and off the camera. It was really fascinating. And I mean, he even had some experiences that he's going to talk about for the first time publicly, which I'm really excited about. Okay, so yes, okay. Then IDK says, I watched a recent video he did. His story from his perspective is wild. So narcissistic. Okay, that's your opinion. I didn't know he was still making videos. That's interesting. The Prep Project asks, wonder if this mountain / mine has been verified as a mountain full of wealth by a professional geologist or meteorologist, or if all we have is off of a prophecy. So, from my understanding, some things have been found there. I will tell you that Mark E. Peterson and Talmage in the 1920s did not find this to be a compelling story and started cracking down on people, and it ultimately led to Bishop Coyle being excommunicated from the church. But there's a lot of folklore. There's stories that are talked about. I've been told that the soil that they mine out of there actually is great for planting crops, and I know that they have like a peach farm out there, and it's really a really good soil. So, but the idea is with the Prep Project, this is the idea. The idea is that these treasures won't be found until basically we've entered the end days. Like they actually it started, like the tribulation has begun. We have the rise of the Antichrist. We have, all this kind of stuff that, of course, many evangelicals believe. And many evangelicals were birthed out 19th century millennialism as well, just like the Restoration was. So there's many people in the evangelical camp that also believes that we're in the last days. So basically the idea is it's like this thing won't really come forth until the time has come. And basically the people that had faith in the project and took heed to the prophecies will be the ones that will, I guess, flourish during these periods of times, but also not only that, but they'll be financially secure and they'll also be able to help their fellow man. So that's kind of the idea behind the Dream Mine, that nothing will be found until the timing is right. And so, yeah, this is obviously a faith-based story. It's one of those things, if you believe in prophecy, if you believe in angels, if you believe in, God speaking to us in our day and time, then there's at least something to pay attention to. If you don't believe any of that stuff, then it's all hogwash, right? That's how, an atheist would look at it. Many people view it skeptically. Obviously, most evangelicals certainly would, but also a lot of people within the Restoration certainly do. And I'm also surprised by some of the prominent Latter-day Saints that I've told this Dream Mine story to, and they never heard of it before. So it's funny how there's like this core group of people who know all about this Bishop Coyle. They know about his prophecies and everything like that. But then there's this other broader community within the Latter-day Saint community that's never heard of it. And I'm like, man, I'm this guy who lives in a 50-year-old mobile home with his mom, and he's like a fanboy. He wants to know where he can buy where he can buy stock in the Dream Mine. Okay, so that's the Dream Mine story. I find it interesting. Look for that episode to be released probably sometime next week. Also wanted to announce that this Sunday I'm going to be heading out to Tallahassee. Why? Because I am been invited to go on an invitation-only private tour of the brand new Tallahassee Temple. And so I'm going to drive up there Sunday. I'm going to find me a nice hotel somewhere in town. Going to find me a place where I can watch the Bears game on Sunday. They kick off at 4:25. It's a national game. And then I'm just going to get a good night. Supposed to drive in from Mobile, Alabama, but work stuff got in the way and he had to go to California. So Kyle won't be there, but I will be with my friend who's an institute director. And I'm going to be given a tour. And I guess there will be some press there as well. And I'm kind of part of the press people, I guess. I'm not sure. But basically, this is the first day, I think, of the open house is this Monday. It's closed to the public right now. It's only private tours that they're doing, but they'll be then starting public tours of the Tallahassee Temple. I don't know exactly when, but very soon. And of course, then they will be dedicating it. So many of you know that I went last year. Monica Bombrow, my co-host on Utah Interfaith Forum, gave me a personal tour of a temple last year. And it was the same temple that she also took Jeff McCullough to and David Boyce. So she does a lot of interfaith stuff. Of course, now David Boyce can re-enter that temple anytime he wants to because he got baptized in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints last spring. Okay, so I'll be in Tallahassee. So if there's anybody in the northern Florida area, southern Georgia area, southern Alabama, and you're watching this, and I'm going to probably post some more stuff on social media announcing that I'll be up in Tallahassee. But if you want to get together and maybe meet up on Monday night or something, or do lunch on Monday, let me know, because I'm just going to drive down there on Sunday. I'm going to go to the temple open house on Monday. And then on Tuesday, I'm heading back home. So my mom is going to be without me for one full day, but I bought her plenty of meals that she can make really easy. She doesn't have to worry about messing with her hands. And so that's where she's at. Just by the way, if there's anybody want to get a shout out from me in the chat, now is the time to do it. Sometimes I'll raise $10. Sometimes I'll raise $150. Often people will also donate to me afterwards, and it's always greatly appreciated when people donate. Cultural Hall in the house. Hey, Steve. Cultural Hall, let's reach out to me soon. I know you said you'll be DMing me. I think you said on Instagram or somewhere. Yeah, let's talk soon. Cultural Hall, I'd love to chat with you. There's a lot of interesting conversations I'm sure the two of us can have with each other. I'm actually going to be talking to somebody else who you probably know on the phone afterwards, who's reached out to me. And so I just want to kind of get back to what happened on last week's live stream, where I talked about a person who attacked my mom and I, and then kind of gave an apology. And this person did apologize on their community page, but it was a performance apology. He reached out to me personally because he was really proud of the video he sent me attacking my mom, and I thought it was really great. And spent hours constructing it. Probably spent some time constructing the. Cultural Hall just messaged me. Okay, finally. All right, let's talk, Cultural Hall. I got your message, so I'll be in touch after the stream. And I just want to say that since that has happened, finally you're fast. That's what I hear, Cultural Hall. Then on Friday, a week ago today, after I did my live stream, my friends over at Mormonism Live, who do their Mormonism After Dark with Bill Reel and Radio Free Mormon, also discussed it and felt that this person went over the line and that this was unprofessional and malicious, and it wasn't cool. It wasn't cool at all to attack my mom. You just don't attack somebody's mom. I mean, what the heck were you thinking, dude? But then also last night, my friends over at Porch Time, Chris Hanna and I talked on the phone yesterday, and he gave me the heads up that they were going to be doing a stream on it. So I was on the stream for like an hour or so and did some comments there. And I just want to thank them for defending me too. And I think it's really important because these are both ex-Mormon channels, as they're called. And the person who attacked me was ex-Mormon. And some people on the TBM side, we're trying to make this into, well, look at these ex-Mormons. Look at what they're capable of doing. And I don't want to make this about, oh, ex-Mormons are bad and Mormons are good, or vice versa. I don't like to play that kind of game. And you know me, I'm the Switzerland of Mormonism. I don't want people to use this as a bludgeon against people in the post-Mormon community. So I just want to say that, first of all, I did hear from other podcasters like Jacob Hansen and Mormonism with the Murph and Jim Bennett and Ian Wilkes and more. I mean, I could spend 15 minutes listing all the different podcasters that I heard from, but in particular, people from the post-Mormon community made it very clear that they condemned the actions of this individual and that this is not indicative of the ex-Mormon community. So I think it's really important that we do hear that as well. There's times and places to have debate and dialogue and disagreements. There's a season for that. But I also believe that it can be done in a civil way. I really feel like civil conversations are what's so important in our world. And so to have somebody do what they did to me, and then this person probably didn't realize the extent of support that I have in the community. And I've heard from a ton of people who have been on this program who said they'll never go back on it. I'm not even trying to get people to boycott it. I just want people to reconsider after what he did and said to me and Mom. Is this somebody you'd want to work with, right? Because what if they turn on you? And I've heard from people who've known him all his life, and this is a pattern that's been there for a long time. So I think that, and I kind of picked up on that pattern a while ago. So I just always kind of kept my distance, but then I thought we buried the hatchet earlier this year, but obviously we hadn't. And apparently he was holding a grudge against me for years. And he decided he was going to go after all his enemies like Jonathan Streeter and Barbara Brown and myself. And I don't know where this spirit comes from, but I know that this person has been like this for a long time, and this is not a new development. But I'm keeping you in my prayers because I do feel bad for you. I don't know what you're thinking, and I'm not even going to try to psychoanalyze you, but I do feel bad for you. All right. Well, I planned on not doing a really long one tonight just because I'm fried. I'm getting ready for my trip. Demetrius says, greetings, Demetrius. You were, I believe we were messaging on the chat last week as well. So basically, if anybody has any questions or comments for me in the live chat, do it now. If you'd like to make a donation, that'd be great. I'll hang around for a few more minutes. Of course, this is a stream of conscious stream that I like to do on Friday nights. I don't like to have a whole lot of notes or preparation. I just kind of like to talk what's on the top of my head. IDK says, hey, Steve, have you listened to The Ancient Tradition by Jack Logan? Actually, I can't say that I have. Tim Rathbone says, Steve, you have every right to be pissed off. It's inexcusable what he did. Yes. Also, I wanted to share with everybody a painting. So a few weeks ago, I went to a Latter-day Saints home to use their shower and shave because I was sick and tired of taking showers that lasted 30 seconds long and shaving with a flashlight. And this is they're involved in the local ward here at Lakewood Ranch. And I showed her a bunch of the Mormon Jesus paintings that are ubiquitous in many Latter-day Saint households. And she saw this one. And she said she saw this, and she said she started choking up. So what she do yesterday or the day before, she ordered a copy of it. And it's beautiful. It's Jesus going after the lamb. And some people have asked, where can you get this? And literally, if you just go Google Jesus going after the lost lamb, and you do an image search, it's the first thing that comes up. So if you just say Jesus going after the lost lamb, that literally will be the first thing. So that's how you can get it. My mom mentioned you should tell them, say Jesus going after the lost lamb, Google. So this has become a really popular painting. This was painted, from my understanding, by a Latter-day Saint, and many Latter-day Saints have them in their homes. And now we have an evangelical home that has this really awesome, cool painting as well. So that's always cool. I love Latter-day Saints, as you know. I have critics on, I have people who love the church, I have people who are never mows on, and we have this great grand conversation with each other where we can actually literally have civil dialogue during these very tumultuous times, especially when we're just a couple of weeks out of the most important presidential election ever, right? Which it seems like that every 4 years that we hear that. And so we got that to deal with, and its aftermath. People in other countries, those of you who are in New Zealand, England, and other countries that are on the chat here, please keep America in your prayers, because what happens in America can have an effect on the rest of the world as well. And then, so The Ancient Tradition by Jack Logan. Let me just Google that. So let me see. Maybe let's try that. Ancient Tradition by Jack Logan. Let's just see. The religious. No, can't say. It looks like it's also a podcast. Ancient Tradition, Dr. Jack Logan. Yeah, don't know anything about it. It says unabashed wonk, James Logan, PhD. Jack teaches at one of the great universities in the United States, treasures good books, and enjoys research and loves ancient tradition. Is that greatest university BYU? By speaking of what, wearing my wearing my Cougs shirt today. I think the BYU Cougars are ranked like 12th or something now, so they're doing really well. Oh yeah, Tim Rathbone says watch the Joe Rogan Trump podcast should drop soon. Yeah, that's what I heard. He was going to be filming with Joe Rogan today. Yeah, so okay. Also, I just want to hear how everybody's doing. How was your week? Mom and I Mom actually had to go to an orthopedics place yesterday, but there was a mix up, so it was canceled. But on Tuesday, I had 12 vials of blood taken out of me at the Sarasota Cancer Clinic, and not Sarasota Arthritis Clinic. I'm sorry. They're doing a battery of tests on me to still figure out what caused this sudden hearing loss in my right ear, and then just all of a sudden the hypoacusis with tinnitus, and they're pretty sure that it was probably an autoimmune condition that caused something to happen to my inner ear where I lost a large portion of my hearing. And so they took out 12 vials of blood out of me. And I told them, I said, well, we're bound to find something if you're taking that much and doing a urine specimen. And they said, well, really, it's a matter of process of elimination is what they're looking at. So keep me in your prayers with my condition, or happy thoughts, or whatever however you want to deal with this, whether you're a theist or a non-theist. We still don't know what happened. We thought maybe a possible Lyme disease connection. Also, maybe COVID-19 caused it to happen. But yeah, it's just been crazy. But adapting. I took my car to the car wash today for the first time in months because the sounds of the vacuums were so loud. And I finally just said, okay, I got the noise canceling headphones and I'm getting very, very used to it now so I can handle it. But just so you know, like right now, there's just like going on in my right ear constantly. It's like, and relentless. And a lot of people who have this condition commit suicide. So I just got this loud screaming going on in my voice right now as we speak, but I'm just training my brain to just ignore it and just move on. And the ENTs and the specialists tell me, they said they're amazed at how quickly I was able to bounce back from this. But really, honestly, this year, this channel hasn't been on for about 2.5 months combined with my month and a half that I was essentially bedridden, plus the 3 hurricanes that came through. We're literally talking like 2.5 months of this year in which there was no Mormon MBR. 2.5 months worth of episodes that weren't taped, weren't aired, weren't done because the hurricanes knocked out of power for almost a week when it came through. We have power outages, or we just have all these things that we have to take care of. And then my illness. So literally, like, you could show that there's been 2.5 months in this, and this will probably still be the channel's best year viewers wise and everything, but it was on pace to be a massive year until this whole thing happened. March was my best month ever. And I thought, boy, this thing's really taken off. And now it's like, I'm just getting back on track, folks, and really you just got to keep on pumping out the product. Otherwise, you just won't get the views. So I just got to get back on track. And, I'm encouraged, some videos aren't getting the views that I want, but others are doing pretty good. So I'm pretty happy. And we're just, look, I'm a worker, I'm not afraid. I'm a fighter as well. And so, yeah, that's where we're at. Also, I just wanted to wear this briefly. So one of the places I did stay at was a Bickertonite home, and they're big Steelers fans. I stayed there for the day that the hurricane threw. I stayed the night, and he had mentioned it would be, I said, I want to pay you back. I want to bless you. He said, well, you can bless me by wearing one of my hats during one of your episodes. So I want to preview that. I told him I will, but I won't tell you which episode it's going to be. So you got to watch them all. But I just want to thank him for this hat. So I'm a Bears fan myself, but I have cousins from Pittsburgh, and they're big Steelers fans as well. Cultural Hall says it's a crapshoot sometimes, Steve. That's right, it is. And there are some videos that I release that I'm like, this isn't going to get any views, and then it just shocks me. And there's other times like, oh, this is going to be a monster hit, and it's mediocre. So it's hard to tell. Andrew SD says, I have mild tinnitus from working at a lawn care company around Loudmore's machinery in my younger days. Wear hearing protection, everyone. Yes, Andrew, that's great. And not only that, but folks, did you know that when you're in a flight, on a commercial air flight for more than 2 hours, most people experience hearing loss after 2 hours. So guess what? When you fly, protect your ears. A lot of my ENT specialists, a lot of their people are pilots and former pilots that have experienced hearing loss. So protect your ears. That's so important. Protect your hearing. And like they said, my doctor said, we got to just protect the hearing you do have, Steve. And that is important, because if it happened to my other ear, it's game over. So that's really what I have to deal with. So, Okay, well, we went about our typical 30 to 40 minutes we usually do. If I'll keep this open for another minute or two if anybody has any more questions or comments for me. I just want to thank everybody for their thoughts and prayers during this time. I want to thank people who do make contributions to this channel. I want to thank everybody who had my back in the past week. It is greatly appreciated. Mom and I are very grateful for all of you. And I just want to tell you, I take my first interview since the hurricane this morning, since the hurricane came through with Kevin Kraut. The Cultural says my dad is a retired Air Force pilot. His hearing is awful. Yeah, protect your ears in flight. So no, I'm always wearing these babies. The $300 noise canceling headphones I got for $100 off at Costco. It's worth the investment. It's worth, if it's for your health, it's always worth the investment. Okay. Well, hopefully I'll see you next Friday. Again, I will be in Tallahassee this Monday to get a private tour of the new temple that is going to be dedicated soon. This is a private tour that they're going to be doing for, I guess, press and other people. And so I will be there. An institute director, friend of mine who I met at Mormon History Association last year will be there. My friend, Dr. Kyle Bashirs, was supposed to be there, but he can't make it. But I'm really excited. So if there's anybody in like North Florida, Southern Georgia, Southern Alabama, wants to make a drive and meet up with me sometime on Monday, whether it's lunch or dinner on Monday, let me know. I'm probably going to have lunch with the institute director. Okay, my dad was a pilot. Same thing. Have a good weekend, everyone. Yep. So that's the thing. Everybody just tells you pilots, they do lose hearing. They make a lot of money, but make sure they need to protect their hearing as well. All right. Well, everybody, I love all of you. I really appreciate all the support that we're getting here at MBR. We're back. We're putting out our product again, putting out interviews. We're going to continue to tape interviews, going to continue to break this news stories. We are one of the leading sources for actual news. We don't just report it, we break it here at Mormon Book Reviews. And that's a really exciting thing. That's been something that we've been doing for years here. And we will continue to do so. I think I covered everything. And if I didn't, I apologize. I'm fried on Friday nights. And I sometimes wonder, why am I streaming on a Friday night after this long weeks that I have? But keep me in your prayers. Wish all of you Godspeed. And remember, the most important thing is this: all the voices of the restoration will be heard here on Mormon Book Reviews.